Hey David, how's it going? Just okay. So anybody who's watching this right now, hello. Just getting the project set up that we're going to be cutting out on the machine tomorrow, and tomorrow I should have my live stream stuff set up on the machine also, which will be fun. So just getting all the parts set up in here. So this is the part that I'm going to be machining out. So right now, just show you what I did beforehand. Turn off a couple things. So this is the first operation, and I have it all set up with the parametric vise, so that way it knows where the stock is. So I can actually come in here and hide this. So this kind of slightly transparent is my stock size that I'm going to be using, and then I can fit the part inside there and go from there. So that way I know exactly how it's going to sit in the vise. I know exactly where it's going to run. Can see where the tool paths are going to go, like in relation to the vise itself. And I can actually tell Fusion that there's a fixture in here. So it knows that this piece here and this piece here are part of the fixture. So if it detects that it runs into it during the cut or during my simulations in here, it'll actually like warn me about it, which is pretty sweet. So kind of the first thing I did was, I'll come back over to the design tab, and so I put the part inside here, and then I created a joint in between the top of the stock piece and then the top of the model, and then I dropped it down by 50 thousandths of an inch. So when I do my facing operation, it'll pull 50 thousandths of an inch off of the top of this to make sure it's perfectly smooth. And then from there, so I have it coming in. I'm going to have it probe the piece just to make sure that, because I'm going to set this all up so it's fully automated, and then so I can just load stock in as long as it's within a quarter of an inch any direction. It'll still be able to probe it okay and load it in. If it's outside or if the stock is larger than 3/4 of an inch in any of the directions, then it'll pull a warning up on my machine and tell me like, hey, this is not the correct size. So that way if the stock was cut incorrectly or just something along that line, that way I don't go through an entire operation and find out that a part won't actually fit inside it for whatever reason. So I'll do that, and then it'll probe the top of stock just to get the correct Z. It's going to come in and do a facing operation with 2-inch end mill or 2-inch face mill. Run through that. I'm sure I can make this thing run a deeper depth of cut, but I'm just trying to be nice to my tools. I'm not in any big hurry with anything. Then I have it coming and doing finishing pass. This I'm just doing a climb, so it's just running one direction. It gives it kind of a nice surface finish. I like the look of that. Next, it'll come in and give me just like a point mill. So touches this off for the drill, spot drilling. Sorry, that's what it's called. It gives it like a little point for the drill bit to hit, and then it won't walk out and then create the incorrect size hole or the wrong place. After that, it'll come through and do a chamfer across the entire part. It's doing a 40,000 thick or depth of a chamfer, and then it'll come in and then run a 3/8 inch drill all the way through the part and have it break the other side. It's actually going a little too deep, so we'll come back in here and break through. It does not need to go that far. Just have that do like a, yeah, there we go. That'll be good. If it's a little thicker on the bottom of the stock, it'll still make it all the way through. And then after that, then it'll come through and widen out the pocket for the bore. So that way the bolts will drop in there and be flush with the top. And my dog is barking, so I'm going to go let it out. Be right back. Okay. So next thing I need to do is set up the second operation, second side. So this part's a little tricky in that respect just because of what it is and how I have to hold on to it. So I'll come back over to the design tab. I'm going to turn off this vise because as you can see up here, we're looking at the top. So this is the front, towards the front of the machine, the top. So we just need to flip this all 180 so I can do the bottom. So I'll turn off this vise. We'll rotate this around 180 degrees. So now I'm still looking at the front, but now I have the bottom, which is now going to be the new top. And then we'll turn on the new vise. And then turn it on so I can see my stock in there. Then I need to come back in and adjust the stock size. So this is the cool part with all of this. So you'll watch as I do this. The jaws will actually move. So as I adjust the stock size, I'm not having to readjust all of that. So my stock width was this 4.125, so I'll change that down here. And then it's 3.5 inches wide. Stock height is the 0.625, but I took off 0.05 from the top of that. So we're going to have to adjust that back down by that 0.05, 50,000. So it's now going to be the 0.575. Stock offset, what that does is just moves this like side to side inside the jaw. So like if I did 1 inch off to the side, slides it sideways. You can do that for like clearance purposes or something if you need. And then I know that my jaw step height, which is this right here, like how this distance, I know for the jaws that I'm using it's 0.72, so 72 thousandths of an inch. So that's my 0.72. And you can watch, as I hit tab, you watch that update. So see how it moves. So pretty cool. Yeah, my dogs are barking to come back inside now, so be right back. Alright. So the next thing that we need to do is get our part inside this stock. So we'll do a joint. We're going to do the new top of the stock here, or top of our model. And then we're going to choose here. Actually, what I should do, I think of it, is because I've machined this bottom face, I know that's where I want the bottom of this to be. Is going to be even with this step here. So we'll actually do a joint at the bottom of our stock, and then a joint on, or sorry, the bottom of our model, and then do one at the bottom of our stock. And that's obviously not correct, so we're just going to flip that back around. And now it puts it inside, and now we can see that this is actually just sitting on the jaw for us, which is exactly what we want. So hit OK. Okay. Dogs are going nuts tonight. Alright, so yeah, so now we have that set up in there, which is how we want it. And then if we measure, we should have 50 thou, yep, 50 thou distance on this side as well, which is exactly where it should be. And obviously your stock size is going to be slightly off, but I'll show you how to make sure that we have the actual depth of these parts perfect. So now we have done this. I'll save this real quick. We're going to come back in to manufacture tab, and that's the upside down, so that's our first stock vise. We'll turn on the other one, and then you can see, I'm going to come down here to setup number 2, and this is all something I had set up earlier, but I've changed my work holding and changed the part a little bit, so I'm basically redoing all of it. Luckily I have a lot of these faces and stuff or operations already set up, so I don't have to go through and completely start over, but I am going to make a couple changes just now that I know the machine better, make a few changes on how this works to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to activate setup 2. We're going to rename this bottom face, because we're just going to be doing a facing operation on this one. As you can see, and I'll show this a little bit later, but as you can see, this part of the material or the model is below the top of this, and with my tools that I have, I couldn't actually cut this. So what I need to do is, after I face off the top, I'm going to be using a fixture plate that I created, which is not turned on right now. Here, this piece here, and I'll show you how that's going to work. But we're basically going to attach this piece to that fixture plate, hold the fixture plate in the jaws to lift the entire thing up and get it out of the way, and then I can finish off the rest of this part. There might be an easier way of doing this, so I'm not having to do 3 separate operations with it, but for what I'm needing to do, this is the best I know how to do it. So if any of you have suggestions on an easier way of doing this, definitely interested to know. Leave it down in the comments. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to do I need to set up this stock and everything. So stock mode, we're going to do from solid. We're going to choose this box. So now it knows that's my stock and what we're cutting out from. And then we're doing the stock point. We're going to actually do a selected point. And I need to choose something that is going to be visible on this side that's already been machined, so it can reference the part itself. So that's where the probing features come in really handy with the Tormach and the others bigger CNC mills. So I can come in and choose like this circle right here, because I punched that hole, I drilled that hole all the way through in the previous operation. So I know that this hole is here. So if I tell it I want to make my origin to the center of this hole, then this is going to allow me to reference the entire part inside the stock. The reason I want to do it that way is if I were to touch off the sides of the stock here and say like find center of the part, if the stock when it was cut isn't perfect, so say like in here this is showing a perfectly straight up and down vertical edge, but in reality after looking at my stock they're actually on a very slight angle. It's not perfect, so I'd have to go and machine out the sides of this on each piece to make it perfect straight, and that's just not going to work very well. So if I were to touch off the corners or come off of a corner or something, then all these other features that it's going to machine in this operation aren't necessarily going to be great. With that all said, because I'm just doing a facing operation, I actually could, maybe I will, just come off the corner, because all it's doing is bringing down the top. So maybe I'll do it that way. We'll see. I think I will actually. We're going to choose, but I'm going to choose the bottom corner. Sorry, that was all long-winded, confusing thing that now I'm changing my mind on. For the final operation, we'll choose the circle here because it'll be a lot more critical. So I am going to do stock box point, and I'm going to choose this bottom corner. And then we need to tell it which way is up and which way is side. So to hide this, we're going to choose, this is my vertical, this is my x-axis, and then we need to flip it so Z is going the other way. There we go, so that's the correct one. And then now we're going to choose this corner again. Cool, so it'll be back left corner down on the bottom. And the reason I'm doing the bottom is because I faced this off earlier, so I know that this is flat, and then because I need to have the distance between the top surface and this bottom surface is accurate as possible, which in this case is just a little over half an inch thick. I need to know how far down from the top it's going to get that distance. So if I reference the bottom of this and then bring it in from the top, it'll stop when it gets to this 0.525. And then in the machine tomorrow I'll show you guys how to reference this off on the bottom, make sure that that's accurate still. But this is the the best way of doing that. So now I have that set up. That all looks correct. Close measuring here. And then I need to change my work offset. This is going to be number 2. The idea is I'm going to have 3 stations set up so that I can just do each stage, but then run all of it at once, and it'll just kind of work its way through everything. Again, that'll all be stuff I'll show tomorrow. Model, I actually need to select the model over again. Model there. Then fixture, we're going to choose these 2 and click OK. There we go. Cool. So now the facing operation. I'm actually just going to delete these and grab the same facing operations from the previous one. That way I'm not having to redo all everything over again. Edit geometry up top, that's good. Stock leave, multiple step downs, both directions, perfect. And we'll come here and do the same for the finishing pass. So that's still correct. No stock to leave. And I have it just go in one direction. Shoop, shoop, perfect. I'm kind of curious why these are all. Why did that move? Every so often I do something, I'm like, I don't understand what happened. Okay, there. I just wanted. Interesting. But still correct, so I'm okay with it. And this is why we also simulate everything. So okay, so that's the facing operation. So that's actually done. That's all I'm going to have it do in that operation. So with that said, I'll save that again. Always save your work. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the dovetail. This 180, okay. I'm actually going to delete. I don't want the vise here anymore. I don't know how to get rid of that actually. Not in here. I'd have to go in and delete it from the other one, but that's okay. We'll just leave it like this. So delete the. Oh, it's not allowing me to do that either. Oh, we can break link. That's what I was looking for. There. So now I can come in, delete this. Delete this. I'm still learning, so you guys get to learn with me if interested. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is we need to get the fixture plate in position to hold this. So we're going to hide the vise, and then with this fixture plate let's flip it over again. And then we're going to attach this to this. So we're going to line up this hole with that there. Oops, I don't think that actually went correctly because that sunk it way too far in. So we'll joint that hole with center that hole. Oh, never mind. I know why. Because I'm an idiot. See, like I said, learning with me. You want that one with that there. There we go. So now you can see it's even there. Cool. That's what I wanted. So I hit OK. And then I'm going to bring in another set of vices. Technically, I don't necessarily need to do this because I know for a fact. Actually, I'm not even going to. I'll just confuse it more. I know that this vice is going to be in this fixture plate sitting way high above the vise, and we're not going to have any issue with it crashing into it. So I'm not even going to worry about the vise on this. So now that we have that there, we'll save it. Now we're going to come back to our manufacturing tab, and then under setup number 2, we'll rename this to finishing our feature. Edit it, yes. Model is this, then delete all the fixtures, choose our fixture as this. For our stock, we're going to do this, we'll just go relative box size, and then stock offsets is going to be actually no, because I needed to know that there's stock around the outside edge still. So oops. Come here. Stock. Go fix box size, and then height. Because I know our height before we cut it down, so it's that it's going back 5.2 or 0.525 for our thickness there. So there's no extra stock on the top or the bottom. And then should pull 3.5 for the depth. And then I think this is 4.125. We'll double check that. And then work coordinate offset, this is going to be the third one. Actually, I'm change this to 3000 program number. And hit OK. Well, I remember. Sorry, lost my headphones. I'm going to actually switch out the battery for this real quick. Hold on. Okay, back with a fresh battery. Sorry about that. First live stream, always fun. So we're going to change this to 2000 series. There we go. Okay, so now that we're back over here, now we need to choose. We're going to set our X and Y and Z. That's our Z. This is our X. And we need to flip Z and flip X. So this is the front of the machine, and X positive to the right, Y positive to the back, Z positive up. And then for our origin, do model or selected point, and then we're going to choose this front hole. So the reason we're going to do that is because now we really need to reference where everything is in the part. So we're going to set that there. Okay. So I'll have it go in and do that. So the first thing I'm going to have it do is, because I want to make this more automated, I want to be able to just throw the parts in. Technically, I should be able to just put it in anyway, because the fixture plate's going to stay in the same place. So I should this location should actually never change because of that fixture plate. But there is slight room for this to move, so I am going to actually have it probe this on each run. But I can do that all automatically, so which is pretty sweet. And actually, we're just gonna. Sorry, this is me thinking things through out loud. Actually, just to speed up the process, I'm gonna do there for the initial one, and then because I can just set that one time, and then now I'll have it come in and do a probe. We're gonna choose the probe, select geometry. I want it to probe this hole. It's not a very big hole, so I need to change down my approach size to 10 thou. And then I'm going to have it, if it's out of position by more than, let's do like 8 thousandths of an inch, then I'm going to have it warn me. So have it warn out of position. Size, it's a drill, so I'm not worried about the size being off. Then for the distance down, that's half the diameter, just slightly past half the diameter of the little ball that's on the probe to make sure that it gets all the way inside. So that should be fine. Swing that up to the top. So what that probe is going to do is it's automatically going to check to make sure the part's in position. If it's out of position by too much, it'll let me know. And then it'll also reset the work coordinate system to the center of this hole, so it knows exactly where this part is sitting inside the fixture. So next, we're going to have it run an adaptive tool pass, and we just tell it this outside geometry here. These are all things that I had already set earlier and I know works well, so I'm not going to actually mess with it at all. Let's see, so we go, so bottom height, we're going to do model bottom, top height, model top, retract height, we'll just do model top, and model top, because there's nothing else above it, so we're okay with that. Load, yeah, that sounds good. Climb. Step down. I'm having to do a little stock to leave. Cool, that should work. So processing this. There we go. We're going to run a contour pass. So yeah, it's saying missing references, so run this one. And then this one here. So that's just going to come in and smooth out the edge of these walls. Bottom height, select a contour, top height, model top, model top, model top, model top. Okay. Yep, so just run in, take that off. So then this one, we're going to have it come in and run contour pass around the entire piece around the outside of it. Change all these back to model top. So what these are, this is where it knows, like when it does different things on the during the cut. So bottom height is like the tool will not go below wherever I have it selected. So in this case, it's the very bottom of the part. So I could even actually choose this to model bottom if I wanted to as well, just because I know the contour I selected is the model bottom. Top height, model top, so that's where it'll start. It just knows that's where the top of the model is. Feed height, that's where it switches from the rapid feeds to the actual feed and speeds that I set. Retract height, that's where it just gets it up out of the way. Clearance height is for it to jump over the top of anything that's possibly in the way. So clearance height would be if, and actually in this case I do have 4 bolts that go into the top of this to hold this down. And I'll turn those on here in a second actually, I'll show you. But you can set the clearance height to the top of those bolts, so that way it knows those bolts are there and it won't do anything, or it won't try to run through them. So I may actually come in and reset these again once I turn those on, so it knows those are there. And no roughing pass, no stock to leave on this one, just taking it all the way down. There we go. And then now we have the contour. And this is basically just doing these dovetail sides. So it's 60-degree angles. I'm using a 60-degree chamfer bit, and we're just going to have it run this here. So there's that one there, this one here. This one looks good. Right, okay, well now we'll look and see. Oh, so something didn't go correct on that, as you can see. So we need to come in. It actually might be this tip offset. We'll set that to 0. There we go. So now we need to look at this close. So you can see this gray area right here. That's actually showing that the chamfer is going to go inside, or try to run inside the part, which we don't want. So we just need to bump that out using this tip offset. So we'll try 50 thou. Alright, so that was too much. So now you can see it left this little lip here. And again, this is probably something else where there's probably an easier way of doing it or a different way of doing it. but I'm not 100% sure. So I do the trial and error thing, and so far it works for me. So you can see it just left a little tiny lip right there. So we can get rid of that. So that's at a 3. So try like a 2.7. There we go. It's just a little tiny piece right there, which is perfectly okay for what we're doing. It's so small you'll never even notice it. Cool, so that cleans up the rest of that there. And next we need to add a chamfer mill to just chip right, or take off the sharp edges around all the top pieces of this. Although this is, yeah, we'll do that. So we'll come up to 2D chamfer. And then we will use this one here, 45-degree chamfer mill. And feeds and speeds are good. I know those are good. And we're going to choose this and each one of these circles. Actually, I'm not going to worry about the circles because there's going to be bolts in there, so you can't get to them anyway. And theoretically, this whole thing is going to be flush with the other like adapter plate, so you don't even really need to do anything on that, but I'll probably run it anyway just to make sure that there's no sharp edges. So we'll do a tip offset of 10 thou, do a chamfer width of 20 thou. And I always like to do an entry position of a corner because that way you don't see any witness marks or something. There we go. So you can come in, see, it'll just take a little edge off. Be nice. And that's that. Yeah, run that chamfer mill before it does the other one. So yeah, those are the all the steps. Let's quickly turn on the 4 bolts that are going to hold it. So they're in their old position right now, so I need to flip them over and stick them in here. So just create a joint with each one of these. Choose that there, and then that there. Flip it. Cool little trick I learned is so like something like this, where if you're trying to get to the center, it kind of jumps up and down with your joints. It's hard to like grab onto the exact thing that you want. So if you get this face that you need, hold down the control key, and then it'll let you go straight to the nearest one, like that you put your mouse over, and it doesn't try to grab something else. Saw that in a video the other day. It's like, ooh, that's a good one. There. So those are my 4 bolts that are going to be holding this on. And then well, you might be wondering for the probe with the bolts in here, how's that going to work? So what I'm going to do in the machine is I'll put 3 of the 4 bolts in, so all of them except for that one. And then once it gets through the probing routine, when I pull the probe out, after I pull the probe, then I'll throw this bolt back in so it's all being held down, and the other three will keep it in place enough that when I tighten that down, it's not going to move it. Just wanting to redo this. So what I'm going to do too is, because these bolts are part of the fixtures, I'm actually going to come in here, go and edit, and then under fixture, I'm going to choose these bolts as well. And by doing that, now the software, when I tell it to run the simulation, if it detects that it's going to crash into that, it'll let me know. So I can right click on here, go simulate. And what I'm looking for down below is any of these little red lines. So for some reason, I think it's like just a glitch in Fusion. There's no way of knowing, or for some reason, like it always thinks that it always detects that it's running into it, even though it's really not. So, and I haven't quite figured out why that is. So, so I hit play, and it's gonna say it's it's seeing it's crashing into it because those are there. But now we can simulate out the rest of the part. So I can hit go. You can see it'll do its cuts. There it's doing there we go. So if I want, I can come back in here again and let's look straight down on top. So this is that chamfer mill going around the outside edge. So it actually looks like it's going to hit it there. Oh no, it's close. It's really close. So if I do tool, the shaft and the holder, hey, clearance is clearance, right? There's a good amount of room on this side here. And when it gets to this side, clears it, just barely though. This is the cool part with having this all set up, is allows you to check it all out, make sure it's not going to actually crash into anything before you go out to the machine and actually crash it into something. Cool. So that all looks good to me. So yeah, so all the parts are ready. I think this is ready to go throw it on the machine. So I'm gonna go pick up stock material tomorrow, get that all prepped, and then should be able to do a live stream tomorrow on the machine, and we can walk through all this. So the way we're gonna do it is I'll get one piece set up for each. So we'll run this top op on one piece, and then I'll move that to the next operation. We'll run, and then after I move that one to that operation, I'll throw another piece of stock in the first operation, have it run both of them, and then we'll move it to the third operation, and then it'll run all three, and then I can just kind of keep moving parts through as I go. So it's pretty cool how you can do all that, and I'm able to do that using the multiple work offsets. So we'll program in each holder, each station, um, and then it'll be able to remember each one individually. So should be cool. Yeah, thanks for joining me if you did. Hopefully start doing some more of these a little bit later on. Hopefully at a better time of day as well. But talk to you guys later.